for another discussion. The discussion topic for this week is the basic idea of villain. And in this chapter, chapter number 4, we were talking about the complexity of people. And the complexity of people, talking about how people think and why they think the way that they do. For this specific discussion and example, we were tasked with choosing a villain, our favorite villain that opposes your favorite hero, to speak about and use this basic ID method to break down the complexity of who they are. So for this particular discussion, I'm going to use the Joker. Obviously, the arch rival of Batman. Growing up, I was a very big Batman fan. My favorite Batman has to be, not Ben Affleck, obviously. It has to be Christian Bale. Yeah, it has to be Christian Bale. I'm sure that's probably everybody's favorite, but which means that my favorite Joker has to be Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's Joker, to me, is the most iconic character in all of not just the Batman franchise, but all of comic book movie adaptations. And the reason why is because of how well that character was played, but also how the character was portrayed on film. So using this basic ID method, I've gone over the Joker. I've kind of rewatched some things over the Joker, and I'm gonna pinpoint some of the highlights for you. So if you're not familiar with the basic ID method, it is a psychological modality of looking at the complexity of someone's the way that they think, basically. So it stands for behavior, attitude, sensation, imagery, cognition. I is for interpersonal, and the the D, is for drugs. So like if they're using anything to alter their psychological state. So starting with B, behavior. So behavior of the Joker would have to be that he has a very sick and twisted way of looking at things. His behavior is very erratic, and he tries to talk himself into saying that he's just more like he uses a line, actually. He said that he's not really like a planner. He doesn't plan to do these things. He's kind of like a dog chasing a car, that he wouldn't know what to do if he caught one. Basically, he says that he does these things without any type of ulterior motive behind it. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that he's probably sick in the head and gets satisfaction out of hurting people, particularly Batman, and then the people, obviously his victims and stuff. But he gets satisfaction out of hurting people because he's been hurt, which brings to his attitude. So his attitude towards the city of Gotham and the people of Gotham is he's very evil and angry. And he's probably very angry because at some point in time he was hurt, and he wants other people to feel that way. Sensation. What I can tell is that he gets great joy, and it's almost like it's very satisfying to him to hurt people and do things that cause other people pain. So like when other people feel a sensation of either physical pain or emotional pain, it's almost like it kind of excites him. It's very, very sick. But you can see how excited he gets. He laughs, he cackles. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty dark. Um, so imagery. He does kind of give out a little bit, maybe, of his background of certain instances. He'll speak about things, and you kind of are like, well, that was kind of weird for him to say. Why would he say that? He gives the example that people only people are upset with him if one mayor dies, but if a I'm kind of butchering it, but if a, like a truck full of soldiers over in Afghanistan or Iraq blows up, nobody bats an eye. That leads me to believe, with him giving that type of imagery, that he may have been a wounded war vet, and which would also explain some of his psychological disorders, which I'm not diagnosing him, obviously, but I'm willing to bet that he probably has something wrong with the way that his mind works. So for imagery, he does give that example. Let's see, for cognition. What does he say for cognition? He tells himself that he is more of just a doer. He's not. He doesn't really scheme or have plans, and he tells Harvey Dent that that the mobsters are schemers, the politicians are schemers, but he's not a schemer. Well, if he wasn't a schemer, then why would he have all these plans to do these things and rig up a hospital to blow up and kill all these people? He's trying to get at Batman, and he's trying to rid the world of Batman. His ulterior motive is to expose Batman. So why would he say that he does not have any motivation to do any of these things? He's just doing them because that's what he does. I don't believe that, for one. I just think he's evil and probably sick in the head. For interpersonal, he doesn't really have anybody around him that's close to him. Obviously, we don't even know his name. We just know him as the Joker. But if I were to guess, he probably did run off everybody that was close to him, or maybe his family died. So for interpersonal, it's basically, what are people around you telling you? And the people in the actual movie kind of tell him that he's sick and twisted and that he needs help, and that, there's something wrong with him, basically, which, I agree. So he does need to get help. There is something wrong with the way that his brain works. Basically, he doesn't really have any close personal friends or anything like that. He does work with the mobsters a little bit, but they even say that he's crazy. So, what do you do, And then for D, it doesn't necessarily explain this, but if you're not on some type of drugs, or I don't know if he's on, using alcohol or any type of narcotic to act the way that he does, maybe he should be taking some type of prescription medication but doesn't. He might have schizophrenia or something like that. Some psychosocial disorder that he's not taking his prescription medicine for. I'm almost willing to bet that that's the case, but like I said earlier, he might be a wounded war vet that that has PTSD, that doesn't take his medication or hasn't sought out help or something of that nature. And that's the last one. So, looking back on it, his behavior is erratic. His attitude is very, very driven out of anger. He gets satisfaction and excitement as a sensation from people being hurt. He gives the imagery of soldiers blowing up in Afghanistan and people not batting an eye to it. His cognition is that he tells himself that he's just a doer. He doesn't really have plans. He's not a schemer. But I mean, his actions do show that he is. His interpersonal, basically, people around him tell him that he's crazy. Maybe he should listen to them. And then for D, drugs, I mean, from what I see, it seems as though he may need to have some type of prescription drug. I don't know necessarily that he is actually using drugs, like recreational drugs or street drugs or something like that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, you know. Anyway, so that about wraps it up. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.